This conference will now be recorded.
All right, this is Jeremy Graham, and I'm calling the Finance Committee meeting to order. It is 5:31 on January 11th. I am here in the Village Hall to meet all requirements to have remote meetings. We have on the line as well Trustee Morgan, Trustee O'Rourke, and our Treasurer, Sally Bennett. First thing on the agenda here is approval of the December 14th minutes. Did anybody see any issues on those?
No, I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
All right. All right. Can we have a roll call? Let's go. Julie?
Yep.
Lori?
Yep.
And I agree as well. All right. Moving on. Any conflicts of interest?
Nope.
I think that would come first. All right. Either way, no conflicts of interest. I don't see anyone here in the village or online. No one signed up for public comment. So moving on to number 4, as of our government solution updates. Sally, anything new?
No update with ASFR.
Sounds like a plan. I suppose we can't necessarily talk about that one. That's okay. Moving on to number 5 is the budget for 2020. Sally, as you had mentioned before, we talked at the last meeting, we had gotten approved for everything we put in for. Very exciting. Have we heard back yet on the additional funds?
There was an email from Brad Cole from the IML, and the email said that the DCEO extended the period of time to turn in the claims that are dated between March and December of 2020 until December of 2021.
Oh, wow.
So they are not dealing out any new money until that's finished.
Okay.
So we don't know anything.
Sounds good. Chances are we won't be for the whole rest of the year. But awesome job on getting our stuff taken care of, because it sounds like there's many
Thank you.
communities who weren't anywhere close. So great work. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Anything else anyone wants to talk about for the budget 2020? Correct me if I'm wrong, but we have.
Can I just ask overall how we looked 2020? I mean, other than our one-off craziness that we've had, I mean, we looked pretty good relative to what we budgeted, didn't we?
Yes. Sorry, I've been reconciling all day. I didn't really skim, but the majority of our revenues were over 100% budget. So I think we did better than even we perceived before COVID. Some of it's because of COVID, but you know, we really can't complain yet about that.
And then for our expenses wise, we're still well under our guesstimates.
Yes, I did want to point out on the board agenda, not on the agenda, on the finance report, there's a line item transfer for police. And what we figured out was, and Julie probably remembers this, when they were trying to figure out the salaries for police, the overtime for police was supposed to be going into a different line item from payroll. And it wasn't doing that. And I think it's because Kelly and I were trying to figure out why, but we had created all these new tables and everything with the new handbook rules. And somehow that got the wrong number in there. So I made an adjustment to fix that, which put overtime over. And so the idea then is that that money will transfer from full-time salaries to the overtime line item to make it right, just so that we can see what that overtime was and for historical reasons, in case you looked at that and wondered what that was all about.
Sounds good. I'm gonna try mute really quick. I just want to see if this thing works. All right, were you guys able to hear me on that?
No.
Okay, perfect.
Nope.
So you just push the little button. Very exciting, these new little things. But that, yeah, that makes sense. So we can compare apples to apples for next year, and years to come as well. Very good. All right, moving on to the 2021 budget. Tonight is the night we're bringing it to the board in hopes of final approval. We did Sally sent out on Wednesday the budget to everybody, as well as that little cheat sheet of the big components. I did just talk to police. Police thought that everything looked good, no big deal at all. And I've not heard back from any other department that things are not correct.
Same.
Okay, perfect.
No one has said
Perfect.
anything to me.
So let's talk through though, the big discussion, we're gonna have two big discussions, one in executive session and one on this whole, how much we wanna pay down. I just wanna make sure we're all on the same page because I had some emails with Sally because I was getting myself confused too, because you were focusing on O&M reserves and I was thinking general fund reserves because general fund's gonna dump some money into this cash payment, right? And we said that we didn't want to put a budget together where we left general funds less than 50% of that next year's budget. Remember that when we were talking about the whole policies and the reserve policy and so forth? And so the last report I looked at, with us doing 1.5 million, we're at like 52 or 53% general fund reserves of the 2021 budget. Is that consistent with what you think, Sally?
I didn't really look at it that way. Let's see.
My guess is there's going to be some good discussion tonight on how much we want to put toward that. Is it 1.3, 1.4, 1.5, 1.6, or something in between all of that?
I was recommending the 1.4 so that the general fund would have the 100,000 for economic development. Because the difference between the 1.4 and the 1.5 is a little over $6,000 a year in payments from O&M, and it doesn't seem like a lot of money for O&M to come up with, as opposed to having the access to that 100,000 for other purposes. So it's kind of where I stand on it. The GO bond, that money is absolutely there for doing it. So that we can take 103,000, I think, from GO bond and still meet our requirements with the bank for the money that has to stay in there for the sweep account.
So with those, are you thinking you're going to add 100,000 to community development budget then, instead of putting 1.4 or 1.5 down, add 100,000 of those reserves into that community budget somewhere, community development budget?
Right.
And we already accounted for what we talked about in executive session about what we can potentially buy, and I thought we budgeted for that. So this would be any extra development post successful purchase. Which we don't know we're going to have the ability to do anything in 2021 anyway. So, okay.
Well, it's my understanding that, so, I wasn't in the executive session. I don't know any of the details. I know that what we put aside was for back taxes for a particular property, but I imagine there's costs beyond that, legal fees, possibly some other sort of development needs. But also, I know that there has been discussion about another development, or at least interest. And that's kind of what made my red flag go up about maybe we need to have that for those reasons.
If if we, just so I just want to go in there fully informed, because I think our opinions on what to do here on finance are going to carry some weight. So if we budgeted only 1.4 then for the payment and put 100 in community development, and we get 3/4 through the year, because I know this payment isn't due till the end of the year, but you're thinking by mid-year we pretty much have to have a decision because there's some legal work that goes into deciding how much to put on to the cash payment. I mean, do we
Yes.
run into any problems if we decide we're going to shift that money out of community development then and put it into O&M? I mean, do we run into troubles there?
Yes, we wouldn't be able to do that unless we amended the appropriation similar to a supplemental appropriation, similar to what we did for the hail damage and cure grant in 2020.
Okay, so I think what makes sense to me then is to get the update from Mary tonight. I know she sent some long email about an update on the whole mantle thing, which I have not gotten through. I mean, if she thinks it's going to take us all year to have any success here, you know, I don't know. I still think we have a budget right now with 1.5 million down. That's 53% of the general fund, but the budget is a little inflated with all the damage from the hailstorm, right? So we're
Exactly.
53% of an inflated number, which is a good place to be. And so we probably have some room in reserves to pay 1.5 to the cash payment for the RRWRD and have money for the community development.
And it's
Right. You're
it's
uneasy?
the kind of the underlying thing though is that the O&M fund is supposed to support itself. So every time that we take money from the general fund to add to O&M, that is taking money away from other causes, because O&M is run like a business and they can just raise rates or find the money in another way, whereas the government funds, you know, we're very, very limited. So
Well,
I guess that's the hesitation I have.
yeah, and yeah, even though that's true, though, we're still running the village, so to speak, and how happy are our residents going to be if we continue to raise rates for this project? You know, I mean, if there are other funds available, so it's balancing it all anyway. And I get that it's a business and should be doing what it needs to do, but and I know Paul put together a huge spreadsheet on, okay, if we pay this amount, we're likely going to have to raise water, you know, the water rates by Y if we pay X and all of that. So you know, maybe part of a decision is going to have to be looking and see what we think we're going to have to do with water rates then if we only pay 1.4. I don't know. Okay.
I noticed that Chad joined the meeting. Do you have any input on that, Chad?
Well, I echo everything that both of you have said. The O&M is an enterprise fund and should create its own dollars. To a small degree, though, O&M takes a lot of burdens and shared expenses across the board with regular day-to-day village operations and has for a long time. So it's a mixed bag. I know the biggest thing that my concern was just making sure we didn't deplete the fund and not have money available for the grant opportunity was my real concern in this. So that's really where I came in the conversation at. Unfortunately, I wasn't sent the invite, so I had to go the long way around to get in. So my apologies for coming in late, but I agree with actually what both of you are saying exactly. And don't, you know, I think it's you start splitting hairs, 1.4 to 1.5 million. I think it's a difference of a couple of $1,000, under $10,000 a year in debt obligation. The way we run our finances at home and good businesses try to minimize that. But I know the village has some other needs, but again, if the finance committee has delved into this and thinks that 1.5 down is a better route, we have done that before. I understand what you're saying too, Sally, and don't want to be argumentative, but on the same token, O&M does contribute more than its share usually in day-to-day business operations. I mean, we pay for that department pays for a large sum of shared equipment, building, staff in the office, all of that. You go down a slippery slope when you start trying to split all the hair. So it's really take that big elephant and see how much we can gnaw away off of it. And you guys are right. Mr. Elson penciled it all out. And I know that Sally B and myself have had that conversation of the 1.3 to 1.5. It's, you know, we don't want to deplete regular village business just to knock that down. We built the program knowing that we're going to have that debt obligation, but I leave it in the finance committee's hands, what you guys are comfortable with and where you're at. So again, not argumentative, but it's a two-way street on that. Yes, pay down the debt, have a little bit more operational money year over year, or B, did we have a project that we were trying to do with that local fund money? And as I'm talking here, I know one of the things that we were keeping an eye on was that latter discussion tonight of the possibility of getting that development property. That comes with some big obligations from the village, some that we may need to handle relatively quickly if there's some action by property or by a developer wanting to come. Just remember that we can't just do this is just a case in point. We can run a dead-end road, but we cannot run a dead-end water main. So if we have a business or something like that that would want to come to this property, we would need to do a utility extension. We would have to do the whole thing. So forgive me as I wasn't on point with this, but that is a conversation Sally B and I have had was, hey, let's kind of earmark some of that money for community development.
Okay.
And,
All right. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I think that makes sense. I think.
Go ahead, Julie.
So we just need an update on where things are with that, because we know how these things look like they're imminent, and then about 9 months later, we're still looking at the same spot we were at 9 months prior. So.
And the only thing with that, to date with the district, they've, for as much complaining, they've been pretty amicable on those things. So if we did like a 1.3 payment, I'm pretty sure we could come back to them within 12 months and say, hey, we'd like to pay another X, and we'd like the loan to
Re-amortized.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's the word I was looking at. Re-amortize appropriately, and the gut feeling is that they would. So that's always a dangerous thing to say, but thus far they have worked that way, and a bird in the hand is really handy to anybody. So I echo what everybody says, but I think the point Sally was trying to get me to say once my brain engaged was remember that we think we may have some real development monies that are required with this course if we do acquire properties. So protecting that a little bit would make sense.
So Sally,
So-
the budget that's in the board packet for tonight is going to be 1.5 payment, but we're probably going to recommend a 1.4 payment with 100,000 going to community development. Is that where your head's at right now?
That's my recommendation.
Where are you,
I think
Jeremy?
it's the safe way.
I have no problem with it. My question then becomes, do we need to go to 1.3? Is 100,000 enough to cover these utility expenses? Because we have a number set aside already for the back taxes, and we already have it set aside for the possible grant. So is 100,000 enough if this development happens like this, or do we need to put 200,000 and make it 1.3? Chad, what are your thoughts?
Well, if you were going to pay in cash, the 100's not enough. But odds are, if we needed to do this development, we would do one of many things. One, go for IEPA revolving loan and grants that typically are there if we're supporting business. Two, we ask the developer to match, through some sort of incentivizing or something like that. Or three, I don't want to say this too loudly, but if we were doing most of the work in-house, if this is vacant land, not existing city streets, not existing development, where we're going and the engineering designs the project and we install the water main piping, then you would need a far lesser dollar amount. Without looking at exactly, I can't tell you the exact number, but 100,000 is light on that, but playing within what the budget could allow, that if that's all we have to offer, that's all we have to offer. So,
I
your
just want
point,
to
Jeremy?
point out that the second 100,000 is in the GO bond fund. So that really is O&M money. So I don't know if we would use O&M money for community development or not. Probably not.
And like I said, the way we have the budget now, there's enough. I'm really comfortable with the reserves that we have. We have 53% of next year's budget. So we do have, I mean, we could put 150 probably in the community development line and put 1.4 down and still feel fairly good about the budget and the reserve level, in my opinion. So,
Lori, what are your thoughts?
I'm actually fairly comfortable at the 1.4. I think we have a good case for that. And I guess I'm not a huge one to budget on, you know, a lot of, well, what if this, what if that? I mean, Mary's made it pretty clear that this wouldn't happen, you know, likely till 2022. And so I think, you know, at 1.4, I think we're putting ourselves in a good position, and we're being conservative without being overly so.
Okay, so it sounds like a consensus is changing from 1.5 to 1.4 for a payment, and 100,000, that extra 100,000 going, which is coming back from the Cures Grant Act, whichever one that is, going into community development.
yeah.
And
So
just for
I
the
just
sake
wanted
of-
to, oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Sally.
I was just going to say how that will affect the budget is currently there's a transfer from general to O&M, and I'll just change that from general to community development and change the incoming from. So if that helps to visualize how that will change.
So do we need to like vote on this, or do we just talk through this as we're talking about the budget approval process in the board meeting? Do we need to kind of vote in finance, or?
I think we would, well, we can bring it from committee, that's fine. But I think in general, it would just be like, it would be approving the budget as amended.
Okay,
That's how I'm gonna go with it, and then I'll get yelled at then, so.
okay.
I like
Now,
Okay
that.
by me.
Just for the sake of this, do you know what account it would transfer into? Like what the title is here? I'm looking on mine. Sally Joe's gonna want that number immediately, and I'll be like,
Well,
Well, the community development expense line, right, would be 1747,701.
yeah, and it would transfer into, yeah, so that would increase by 100,000, and then there would be a transfer in to 17,399. So I guess it is a little more complicated than the way I was trying to explain it.
okay, but it's okay. So I mean, basically, it's from general, instead of going from general to O&M, it's going from general to community development, which is technically the same thing, and it's going to increase the general fund 1747,911 by 100,000 for possible improvements for next year. All right. Well, do we want to? We'll just pretend like it can come from committee. Can I get a motion to approve this this change to the budget?
I'll make the motion to approve or to change.
I'll second.
All right. Julie O'Rourke makes the motion. Lori Morgan seconds. Let's do a roll call. Julie,
Yes.
Lori,
Yes.
and Jeremy says yes as well. So that is approved. So that will come from committee.
So can you repeat the line item that you
Or
had for
transferring to?
community development?
Yeah, that's correct. It is 17-47-911.
I think it would be 701, community development.
Okay, instead of community expenses, that's fine.
Correct.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yep.
47,701.
Yep.
All right. Any other discussions for the budget 2021 before we go into our big board meeting? Hearing none. Let's move on to number 7, aging write-off in the IDROP report. Did we?
I talked to Kelly and she did not get that completed in time for the meeting.
Okay,
She
good.
said
Go
a
ahead.
lot did change on there and she's going to get that out. She'll just send it to me later this week and I'll forward to everyone to look at, but
Sally, did
She
it change
didn't
for the
have it right.
better? Do you have a
that's
feeling,
what
did it
she
change?
said.
Okay, good,
She said a lot of things came off, so
good.
All right, well, let's move on to number 8 then, bank reconciliation for September. Sally did send that one out today at, where did that number? 4:47.
what did I do with it?
Like our fancy new thing.
You got it. Need this.
Are we swearing to our new officer?
Yep.
Love it.
She gets to get sworn at. Hello, hello, hello.
Stan says hi.
Hello.
Was everyone able to get the reconciliation in time?
I see there's still some balancing issues, right?
Yeah, those are the same ones. I'll probably just write those off at the end. It's the same amount that's been carried over for several months.
All right.
But a big amount of general fund building permits that September was, I guess, the turning point for the permits. That was a lot simpler to do this time.
Julie, do you see anything else you'd like to talk about? I think she said something, but you're on mute.
Sorry, some noise in the background. No, I'm fine. Thank you.
Lori, anything you want to discuss?
Sorry, I was also on mute. No, I don't have anything further.
Sounds great. And then, Sally, did I read somewhere you said you were going to try to get the rest of them knocked out this week?
Yes, I'm working from home the entire week and that's all I'm going to focus on if possible.
Awesome. Well, good luck. It's a big
Thank you.
endeavor.
How's the new staff and everything? That's what's, how many people do we have there now?
Well, Diane is still training and we have the 2 temporary ladies and they seem to be doing fine. They've been working primarily with Kelly. I'm out of the office more than I'm in, trying to maintain that distance, but I got a chance to meet the new person, Sue, and she seems really bright. I look forward to working with her too.
Good.
Number 9 is a credit card review. I don't remember seeing that one either. Did that get mailed out?
That was in the board packet.
Okay.
I didn't do a separate,
Nope, that's okay. I can pull it up. I was just going through my emails and I was like, I don't have that one.
we need a better system for me getting files to you guys.
We'll get there. Nope, links. Sounds like she was officially sworn in. All right, let's see. For November, is that correct? That's all we're just doing. Let me pull up my agenda here. Yeah,
Yes,
for November.
November charges.
All right. If you haven't already found it, if you're not, if I wasn't the last one, it's on. I can't tell you the page. It's not popping up. Page 18 of 108. PDF page 18. So I don't know if you guys heard or not, Vehicle 113, the police officers, one of their cars, squad cars, broke down on the way to Chicago the other day. So that's what all those charges are there. Needed a new alternator and a new battery. Do we get a new garage door opener for O&M?
Sally, do you have that credit card report that you can email? I can't get into the website.
Sure. Let me divert.
Just a new spring snapped.
This is going to be a problem for the board meeting if I can't get in here.
Well, while we're waiting here, Chad, did we actually get the electricity into those buildings? So do we officially have everything we need over there?
We did. We got everything. We have it generator backup on those series of buildings. We've got a little interior work to do to get cold weather lights. Some of them don't have heat or anything, so it's been a little over a year, so a few ballasts went and stuff like that, but pretty incidental.
Oh, nice.
But the ones we routinely go in are well lit, and our storage has improved vastly.
Outstanding. It's the new system. Sally Joe says hi.
Good morning.
You gotta keep coming. You gotta keep coming if you want to. There it is.
Sent that to Lori and Julie just to make sure everyone had it.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right,
All right.
I did my job.
I love it.
Go home and be on the next one. Did you want the top part locked as well as the bottom out there?
I'm gonna head out afterwards. So I'll lock whatever's not.
Okay,
So yeah, what just the bottom automatically locks, so you're good.
and you just gotta lock the top.
Perfect. Sounds great. Thank you.
I'm
Yeah, so
fine on
the
the credit card report. I got it. Thank you.
Perfect. The TV is currently located right at the edge of the horseshoe, and in order to get everybody, it has to be in the middle of the audience to be able to see everybody to get a camera wide enough. But we'll deal with that part later. Laura, did you have any issues?
questions? Nope,
Perfect.
I was just waiting for you to finish, so you're good.
So stop talking. We can move on. All right.
Maybe
credit cards.
we can use smoke and mirrors for the camera.
I love it.
Don't say that in finance. What are you doing?
All right, number 10 we already talked about was the office staffing updates.
Oops, sorry, jumped the gun.
That's all right. Number 11, annual cash in lieu of gas program. I know you sent out some stuff last month about that, Sally, and if I remember correctly, basically it wasn't worth it because we don't know if things are going to change. Right now it's all covered, so we'll just stick with it.
That's my recommendation. By the time you get those minimum fees on the billing, it eats up all of our savings.
Okay.
So I'm fine with just leaving it as is and removing this from the agenda, and we can always take a look at it at another time, as in a year or so from now or whatnot. Any issues with that?
Nope.
Resolved, that's what I was looking for. Resolved, remove from agenda. And I'm totally gonna forget to ask to remove that from the agenda later, but that's okay. Number 12, the policy projects. I know, Sally, you had this written on your board of things you needed to get to. Have we any progress on that yet, or are we just gonna push it over to later?
We're gonna push it. I will tell Chad while we're in this meeting, one of the things that's on my list is to ask him to come up with a better amount or a recommended amount for a spending limit with some reasons for probably maybe our next meeting. Because it needs to change. I would like an opinion on where it should be.
Sounds great. All right, is there any new business?
Nope. Not for me.
Nothing here.
All right, I don't see a need for executive session unless anyone else does.
Nope.
Hearing none. Oh man, look how early this is, guys. This is exciting. Our next meeting I have scheduled on here February 8th at 5:30. That is the next board meeting. So it'd be the same time right before the next board meeting, pending that this budget passes and goes well and all that great stuff. Does that work for everybody?
I think
that
so.
works.
All right. And I like how it says adjourn in a very long way there.
We're actually
real
gonna have some
quick,
time off. Woohoo!
just super quick beforehand, I just want to pull up the actual board agenda and make sure that I am tracking everything I should be talking about here. Let's see. Come on now. Credit card was good. Reconciliation is good. We don't need to pull anything from the consent agenda. Moving on to finance, 2021 budget. We're going to talk about that as a group. Number 2, the employee pay raises we'll go into executive session for. And besides the cheat sheet and the change we made about the 100,000 for community development, that is all I'm tracking we need to talk about for the budget. Outstanding.
That
Can I
sounds
have a
good.
motion? I love it. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
You know what? Our minutes didn't get on here. Is that just because we only approved them now?
We
Don't they have to go to
ever.
the board too?
So,
They usually don't. That's only cow.
and Mike
Oh.
McKinnon likes to, Mike McKinnon likes to put them out there for Public Works, but that's not a thing that we have to do. If we
Oh,
want to
okay.
start doing that, we can. But
No. No, if we don't have to do them, that's fine with me. All right, I'll give you a motion to adjourn. Ooh, yeah.
I will
Can I get a
second.
second? All right, so Julie
Sorry,
makes a
I'm having
motion.
struggling here with my mute button tonight.
Get it figured out for the next hour, Morgan.
Well, these Google Classroom pop-ups keep popping up from these teachers who are working too late into the evening. So I try to hit the mute and I end up in Google Classroom. So that's what keeps happening. Those poor teachers need to go take a break.
Yeah.
All right, we'll do one more roll call. Call it a day here, Julie.
Yes.
Lori?
Yep.
And Jeremy says yes as well. It is 6:10, and that is the end of the meeting. All right, I'll
Yay.
see you guys at 7 o'clock. Where's the wrong
Sounds
mouse?
good. All right. Bye.
Take
Bye.
care.
Thank you.
Come on, stop.